So if you were brought up in an environment where you couldn't express your emotions, or it was a lot of anger, or you got punished for expressing yourself, or whatever it was, that becomes a pattern, or that becomes something that you carry as a story into life. No matter how hard life affects you, you try and carry it all on your own.
Yeah.
And I know, because I've done this myself for 28 years of my life, people would see that something was visibly wrong in the way that I'd show up, and I'd say, no, it's all good. But what you do there is you emotionally suppress that, and instead of that being expressed at the moment, that leaks out in the most important areas of your life later on.
G'day.
G'day.
How are you going?
I'm good.
And good to have you here.
It's good to be here.
Awesome. Okay, so today we're just going to go through and ask a few questions just on your journey and where you've been. Like, you've been really stepping up and really empowering people in the space of self-development. And yeah, I'd really love to ask you a few questions if you're open to that.
Awesome, let's go.
Awesome.
I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. So for those who haven't met you before, tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are.
So my name's BrandonKilty. I had a background of 10 years in mining and construction before starting my online journey, which has brought me to coaching and mentorship of men in my program. And before that, I was a very dysregulated person, full of escapes, full of avoidance of the things that actually mattered most to me in my life. And I felt the detriment of that for probably 28 years of my life, and didn't understand the whole dynamic of change. I didn't understand anything about personal development. I thought it was woo-woo. And the last 4 years of my life have just been a massive shift, huge game changer for me, my relationships, and now I extend that impact across other men.
Amazing. Awesome. I love that. And what first led you into the work of coaching and supporting men?
I guess times in my life where I was challenged with my own emotional control, emotional regulation. I was very angry when I was younger. I always wanted things to change within my life, within myself, but I'd constantly search for it external. And the changing factor for me was I actually started an online business back in 2023. And prior to that, I spent some time in solitude, where I opened my first book, started working on myself, and then went down the venture of online business. I built a small team in my community online, and from there I fell in love with the process of actually helping people with the personal development side, because I'd spent thousands of dollars on myself, as well as implemented a lot of stuff into my own life, which created massive amounts of change in not only like my internal world, but my relationship with my parents, mum, dad, my friends, family. My relationships with women improved as well. And I wanted to use that in full force, and I felt like I couldn't do that in sales. Yeah. So I decided to go down the full path of coaching and actually get modalities to help men through that pathway.
Yeah, wow, that's so amazing and so inspiring. Was there a defining moment that you can think of in your life where you realised that something actually needed to change?
Definitely. I think about this a lot. I think about this so much throughout my journey, and I think it'll be something that I always hold close to my heart, and that is losing friends to tragedy. And in those times, every single time that I'd lost someone or had to deal with sorrow or whatever, I'd lose myself, which was the case of drugs, alcohol, fighting with friends, fighting with family, having that internal battle with myself and not knowing how to actually rise above that.
Yeah.
And I had a period of my life where it felt like there was somewhat people just leaving my life due to whether it was suicide or death or whatever it was, or me pushing people away. And I had an incident with the police where I was on multiple charges, and I got let off those charges. And I remember moving away from the place I was at, and I said to myself that I really wanted to isolate myself, put all my focus into actually helping myself be better throughout those circumstances, because I thought to myself, if I ever lose a parent or someone in my immediate family, you know, mum, dad, whatever it is, I wouldn't know how I'd cope. I truly didn't understand how I would, based on the times that I'd dealt with friends passing and stuff. So I wanted to get on top of that, and yeah, that was a massive shift. It was like, I don't want to end up in jail, I don't want to end up hurting someone, and I don't want to end up hurting myself. So yeah.
And those pinnacle moments are the ones that really push us into the trajectory of where, well, I mean, you either do something about it or you don't, right? So, well, big changes. So, looking back now, what are some of the biggest challenges you had to overcome personally?
That's a good question. Some of the biggest challenges I had to overcome was, I think, leaning into fear.
Yeah.
That was one of my biggest challenges. Was I'd always hold myself back with limiting beliefs, or, you know, victim mentality of I couldn't do this, or a story that I created for myself throughout life, whether that was from childhood or whatever. We can talk about that another point. But the stories that I told myself throughout life actually restricted me from what I wanted to do, who I wanted to be, how I wanted to show up. And you don't realize until you rise above that and look down on it that there's so much that sort of blocks you.
Yeah.
So basically, I think leaning into fear was one of the biggest things, and then understanding my ego and how, you know, that resistance to jump on the other side of that is the most amazing things in life. I think before that, I was sort of just in my shell, in my comfort zone, too scared to navigate towards the things that I did want, so I just stayed exactly where I was. And also just the challenges of men today. I think we're in environments where if you do step outside that barrier or whatever, it's like crabs in the bucket, and people will try and pull you back because no one really wants you to do better than they do, but people still care about you in a way. So I think that was a big challenge for me as well, being in, you know, a sporting club filled with 50 men. At one point, all my acquaintances, all my mates were men who weren't on this trajectory. They might at some point, but just making sense of that all in my head, like losing people. But yeah, in the end, I think it was more about not losing myself and just going all in on what I wanted. So yeah, getting over fear, getting over ego was definitely a couple of barriers for me.
Yeah, and being okay with some chapters closing in order to open the next. Definitely.
Yeah. I talk about this heavily in my content, is when you open up a door or just put one foot forward, and this is stuff that I never knew 4 years ago, but just the momentum or the energy or the frequency that you get on when you actually put one foot forward, and it opens that door, and then you just take another step and it might open 3 doors, and then before you know it, you know, you've opened up all these doors and you're in a completely different frame of mind, a completely different scope of works, your relationships have improved or whatever it is. So just getting out your own way and taking that first step is really powerful.
Yeah, the first step is always the hardest, but then after that it just becomes this flow on.
Yeah.
So what beliefs or habits were keeping you stuck during that season of your life, do you feel?
I think just a low level of self-worth, which I think came from when I was young. I never felt like I was sort of worthy in like my family, my relationship with my dad. I had a really negative relationship with my sister when I was younger, and she used to say things like I was a mistake, like you got no friends, like this, that, rah, rah, and you don't realise the detriment of what that has until you get older. So I seen a lot of my patterns which came through from when I was younger, so in primary school and stuff like that, into high school, where I tried to get that feeling of self-worth out of showing off or, you know, teasing another kid or chasing girls or whatever it was. And you don't realise that once you get older, those patterns that you have when you were younger through self-worth and stuff like that, they actually form deeper patterns as you get older.
Yeah.
And then once you do this work, this is why it's so eye-opening, because you look in the mirror and you go, fuck, what I've created was based off that. And now that's what's blocking me. So I think, you know, self-worth, I had a lot of stuff about, you know, not being able to truly love myself. And I think that came from not having the greatest relationship with my father, just feeling like I was, I don't know, I always felt like I was the black sheep of my family. But yeah, I think there were a couple of barriers, or there were a few limiting beliefs that I had as well.
Yeah. And some that I feel are really common, right, in a lot of people, and it just shows up in our lives just differently, but underneath it's like the same sort of core belief that we've all grown up with. So I can definitely resonate with that, even being a woman. So what did your own journey of growth actually look like?
I've actually drawn this before, and when I look at it, like if I rise above like my timeline now and look back on the past, it was like a fucking tornado sort of firestorm.
Yeah.
Like if I look at it now, there was a lot of chaos. It was sort of like, you know, a dysregulated heartbeat on a monitor or something like that. And since I've implemented this growth and whatnot, I've become more grounded, become more present, and I'd rather say that it's like palm trees on the beach.
Yeah, nice.
In, you know, in Kauai Beach or Clifton Beach, like a nice walk on the beach. That's how I'd describe my life right now. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because a lot of the time at the start, it is hard, and you go forward and you go back and you're just like dipping in and out of this space. And then, you know, I think that's what a lot of people don't see, is that part of the journey. They see where you are now and they're just like, wow, look at him and like where he is now in his life, and it's so inspiring and motivational. But it's like, you know, painting the picture of where it was for you, and like it is messy, and it's like, you know, like you said, it's like a tornado as opposed to now it's like palm trees on the beach. So yeah, thank you for being open enough to be vulnerable to share that, because I think it's in that the biggest change and growth happens for not only yourself but for other people around you. So yeah, awesome. My next question for you is, why have you chosen to dedicate your work specifically to supporting men?
Good question. So I have a coach who's coached me for 3.5, 4 years now, and he always says to me, why don't you open up to women? You know, women are 90% of the market, men are 10% of the market. Men just don't want to do the work, or for whatever factor it was. And I look at that as a challenge for life. I see exactly what understanding my patterns, understanding my shadows, understanding my limiting beliefs, you know, my identity at rawest form has created for me. And just how powerful it is for men in today's day and age to actually regulate, to co-regulate the people around them, their households, their, you know, communities, whatever. And yeah, I have, you know, probably 75% of the people in my inbox from day-to-day content are women. And it's just not even on my radar at the moment. You know, I'm taken on the challenge of helping as many men as I can. I've been able to help 14 so far in my first 5 months of coaching, which is incredible. Yeah. And I really, really, really think that the wisdom, the life events, the knowledge, and now the modalities that I have can shift the game for men, because I truly believe that we're under attack. I think we're becoming disposable. You only have to look at the way the world is at the moment, where we're going to start losing our jobs faster than ever once AI comes.
Yeah.
Men are less productive in getting new skills. Women have risen the bar, so gender polarities are all over the place. Women are more prone to actually do the work, to rise above, to change their income, to change the way they feel about themselves and understand more. And I think we're going to get to a detrimental point in humanity where men need to raise the bar.
Yeah.
So I want to be there for that.
I love that so much, because what a lot of people tend to do is they tend to go with what's easy. And like you said, 75% of the people that are in your inbox are women, but it's just like you've seen this massive gap in the market, as a sense of there's got to be someone or something that's going to be able to help shift this. And that's so incredible that you're willing to take on that challenge. And I guess that just comes from a space of you being, so passionate about like what you've actually been able to do and change, your life in so many ways, that you can now give those same tools to men that are open and willing and wanting to do something different. So kudos to you for that.
The other thing is, thank you. The other thing is, I spoke to a nervous system facilitator not too long ago. She's internationally recognized, and I got on a call with her, and I was going to do my certification in August. I'm still hoping to do it. But I spoke to her and I said, how many, coaches, clinicians, all that are teaching this among men in leadership scopes? And she said she's never had one come through her course. And I was like, wow, that's just a huge grey area right there.
Yeah, something that needs attention.
Yeah.
Why do you think that many men are struggling, or what do you think that many men are struggling with in today that isn't openly talked about?
I think the whole what it takes to be a man has completely changed, and we haven't caught up. We're still running an outdated program, so we think that we can just let ourselves off by doing hard work, or basing our life around provision or whatever, and that's going to be okay. But I think having the circles of men to actually put yourself around in a growth environment, which is why I started the Chain Reaction Brotherhood, because I was coaching men one-on-one, but they were still missing that foundation of having the brotherhood and the accountability and ongoing support of people who were actually raising the bar.
Yeah.
So what was happening was they'd finish my program or finish the work that they'd do with me, and they'd stoop back to the old values and stuff because they actually didn't have anything to continue with. So I think brotherhood is huge. Accountability is massive, and just understanding that the work that you are required to do, because the bar has risen for men, isn't weak. It's essential.
Yeah. And it's that positive brotherhood masculine energy, as opposed to what we've probably experienced in, previous times of like the toxic masculine brotherhood, where it's all about, destruction and those sort of patterns, which I'm sure that you can relate to being a part of when you were younger.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I feel like there's somewhat a 50-50 divide at the moment on social media. You see all these doctrines about what it takes to be a man, having two women under each arm, and having a Rolex on your watch, or driving a sports car, or, basing your life around how successful you are. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that it's more the case that if we can be emotionally controlled and emotionally regulated and have a direction and a purpose in our life, then naturally the things around us will gravitate to us. But if not, we'll fall to the lower values, we'll fall to the weak sort of mindset of a man, the alcohol, the pornography, the drugs, the adultery, whatever it is. Yeah, so I think there is a divide at the moment, and my whole process is around showing men the pathway that I believe in, which is that sort of divine masculine, where we do have a tough edge. Like if someone, came to my house and invaded my house, you're still going to protect, but at the same time, bringing it down to that grounded, present sort of level.
Yeah, it's safe space.
With the ego aside. Yeah,
beautiful. I love that. And what are some of the biggest misconceptions about men's mental health and emotional well-being, do you feel, current?
I believe, this is something that I think about a lot. I think that if men do the work on themselves, then the whole "it ain't weak to speak" thing becomes more prevalent, because then a man can actually go to someone else and they somewhat have the guidance or the tools from their own personal work that they can help another man with. But for now, it's like a lot of men are faced with the same environments that created the problem. So they feel out of place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. That's big. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Why do you think so many men find it difficult to ask for help?
Stigma.
Yeah.
Yeah, stigma. And this comes back, I think it's environmental. So if you were brought up in an environment where you couldn't express your emotions, or, you know, it was a lot of anger, or you got punished for expressing yourself, or whatever it was, that becomes a pattern, or that becomes something that you carry as a story into life. No matter how hard life affects you, you try and carry it all on your own.
Yeah.
And I know, because I've done this myself for, 28 years of my life, it was, people would see that something was visibly wrong in the way that I'd show up, and I'd say, no, it's all good. But what you do there is you emotionally suppress that, and instead of that being expressed at the moment, that leaks out in the most important areas of your life later on. Yeah. So I think, the whole stigma thing around, past relationships, present relationships, or whatever, not making it readily available to actually speak about, because people actually haven't done the work themselves, or people are feeling the exact same thing.
And like you said before, it's almost like it comes down to this underlying fear of being able to speak that truth and sort of what that looks like and translates to in your environment. So
being able to understand your emotions at a self-aware level, and being able to process them and understand the story which that emotion is telling you, or the feeling that you're getting in your body and why.
And vulnerability, our biggest piece. What do you wish more men knew about vulnerability?
Just how much weight it takes off.
Yeah,
the weight that it actually takes off to open up and share with someone who's actually going to listen, or share with, someone who has been through the same thing. Because I believe that when you're able to do that, your perception changes, because you see that there are people just like you. So, the vulnerability, I think I express that a lot in my content. Like, I don't give a fuck. And that just comes from a place of, I don't care who judges me. I've been through this, and I want to help as many people as I can. And whether people see that as weak or whatever, that's the whole problem there. Men can't actually be very vulnerable about their feelings, which enables them to take control of them.
Yeah, that's so true.
Because once you name it, once you name a feeling, or once you name your anxiety or your shame or your guilt, the power of that cuts in half. And not many men actually realise that.
And then there's like this self-empowerment that comes with that, knowing that you've experienced that, you've witnessed it within yourself, and then you're taking some form of responsibility to transform that. Awesome. So when a man first comes to you to work with you, what is he usually experiencing?
Most of the time it's a level of self-abandonment in some way, where he's got a disconnect from his purpose, his direction, and with that, he has a lot of underlying beliefs that are constantly causing him doubt or thought paralysis around something that he really wants to do. And just the whole juggling of values, whether they're values that you actually appreciate in your life or depreciate, not understanding which ones are which, because we have, toward values which drive us towards the things that we want, and then we have away values, which are things like anxiety, shame, guilt, loss, sorrow, unhappiness, these things that weigh us down. So if we don't know what our true values are in life, and we're disconnected from ourselves or self-abandoned, then we don't actually have a moral compass to drive us away from the things that actually weigh us down. And so self-abandonment is the main thing, and I don't think men know it until they come through the doors.
And I feel like most people are hardwired to those, those away factors more than they are to the towards. And this is where someone like yourself comes in to be able to really unpack that and paint the picture to what else is possible. What are some of the common patterns you see over and over again?
Just limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
You can pick them up. I'm very self-aware of mine now. I don't think I have many that come through my mind like on a monkey mind basis anymore. And I think when men actually understand that their thoughts aren't theirs,
Yeah.
we get to choose from that, and there's a way to actually, be the observer of our thoughts, then the thought paralysis, the limiting beliefs, the underlying values, they begin to release the grip. Because you can have bad thoughts, and I always say this, and bad thoughts are either coming from fear and ego, and the good thoughts, the intuitive thoughts, are coming from love. Yeah, that's as simple as it is. So if you can actually have that self-awareness to split the two, that paralysis or the thoughts don't have so much weight.
Yeah, so much power in that. Yeah. Awesome. And what do you believe is at the root of those struggles for men?
Usually something that's an event that's happened throughout life where they weren't getting a certain need met.
Yeah.
And instead of getting that need met, they actually sabotage. So we have a thing called shadow values, which basically are the emotional driver of 90 to 95% of human behavior.
Yeah.
And if you didn't get a need met when you were younger, then you might be seeking for that need met in a less empowering way when you're older by sabotaging. So I think that's huge.
Being unconscious.
Yeah.
It's like bringing that unconscious to the conscious to...
Yeah, so I explain this pretty well with people who are in my cohort. It's like when you have a body of water, and when you're younger, you might have a value of power, and that sits above the water.
Yeah.
And then someone told you that you're being too powerful or you're being too forceful or whatever, so you take that value and you put it underneath unconsciousness, and that runs unconsciously. So what the work is about using techniques to go in and dive below, find out what those unconscious values are, and bring them up into consciousness and empower the male to use them in a powerful way.
Yeah.
So that's huge.
Yeah, I love that. That is such a great, form of work to be able to sort of work people through and getting them to see these unconscious patterns that are playing out in their life. Yeah. And what shifts begin to happen when someone commits to doing the inner work?
I love this. This gets me revved up because we just done our purpose wheels for our cohort. So the cohort from May to the end of June, and all the men basically go through 8 key areas of their life at the start of the program, and they'll score where they're at out of a 10. And at the end, in the last week, I take them through personal one-on-one calls as well. In the last call, we go through their purpose wheels again, and every single one of them, the massive change in their life was emotional regulation.
Wow.
And how they showed up amongst their relationships. The other 2 out of the 8 key areas were their purpose and drive, and it was their relationships, their purpose and drive, and their emotional regulation and control. So how they showed up in those areas. 3
powerful areas that really just transform everything in their life, which is so incredible. So that must be really fulfilling for you, being in that space as a coach. Like, I know that would really light your soul on fire. You can see it.
It's pretty cool when they send through, and you sort of compare them, and you're like, fuck, this work actually is doing amazing things. Because it doesn't matter how high you shoot, you still have periods where you're wondering whether you do enough or you're doubting or whatever. And I think that's just the way it is when you aim so high. It's like, am I really giving these people what they're looking for? And then they come back with that, and it's like, okay, this is the work.
Yeah, I resonate with that in a big way. And without sharing names, is there a client transformation that has deeply impacted you in the time that you've been coaching?
Definitely. My first ever client, he was dysregulated. He was reactionary in his relationship. he was always caught in the whole force and control of his business and couldn't let things flow. And he's literally, I've coached him on 2 programs now, and he's literally transformed his life from the inside out in 6 months. So
wow,
yeah,
so amazing.
his income improved, his business improved, his environmental factors improved, his relationship with his son improved, his relationship with his partner improved, his emotional control, his discipline, the way he shows up every day in the gym, running, all that sort of stuff. So yeah.
And it's just a flow-on effect, because now that his son gets to witness him in the work, doing the work, it's just that flow-on effect, because how we show up for ourselves first and foremost becomes a ripple effect in all areas of our lives. So that's pretty powerful, that you're not only affecting his life, but you're affecting his son's, which is the future.
Definitely, and it's cool you say that. He was actually on a FaceTime with me the other day, and his little man was in the back. And they were caught in the rain at some activity they were doing, and I got to say good day to him. And I was actually thinking that, I'm like, that's pretty cool. You know what I mean? I get to help him do the work, so that's passed down. And that's exactly what my program's about. I stewed on the name for so long, the Chain Reaction, and there was other ones, but that just led true, because it's true. When one man links that chain and another link, that also links downward towards the people that we love in our life, which is something that I'm very passionate about.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. That's incredible. So if every man had the opportunity to do this kind of work, what do you think would change in our families and our communities?
Co-regulation. I never understood the power of this, and now that I see it, I understand the power of every man on planet Earth that is within. Because men actually have, not many people would understand this, but men have this ability to co-regulate their whole environment when they are regulated.
Yeah.
But they also have the opposite effect to make everything chaotic or destructive. So when a man does the inner work and gets on top of his emotional control, his emotional regulation, understands his nervous system fundamentals, his trauma, his shadow values, his limiting beliefs, all of these things that drive unconsciously for a lot of males, when he brings them to life and actually works on them, what that does is it puts an imprint on every single thing that spans off his life.
Yeah.
So you can think about a dysregulated man, his health's up and down, his relationships reactive, his partner might not feel safe, his business is full of procrastination, that's dysregulated. So what happens when we actually go the opposite way and turn that into power is that everything works as one from the center of us outward. So yeah, co-regulation and how that works has been an absolute game changer for my whole mind. And I think that's something that can cure humanity.
Oh, in a big way. Yeah, that's amazing. And what impact do you hope your work has on the next generation, like we were just talking about?
I hope that I want to take this thousands of men deep, and not only on an 8-week program, it's like men get these tools to hand down to their kids, because trauma, patterns, all of these generational things are passed down through 3 generations, they say. So what your dad didn't take from his dad, that will repeat to you. And then if your dad has somewhat tried to take parts away from his relationship with his father or whatever and change them, then he's given you something to pass down, and then you're the one who's finally realised, hey, dad was just doing his best based on what his dad done. Yeah. And now I get the chance to actually cut that off, like, completely. Yeah. So I think we're in a time right now that we've never had the tools, we've never had the resources, we've never had the science behind, neuroplasticity, belief structures, any of this stuff, the nervous system or anything. Yeah. So people didn't know what was fundamentally wrong. So now I truly believe that we have the opportunity to just be more powerful than ever, but people are caught in fear and all that sort of stuff. So
I feel like there's a huge shift though, like there's a massive shift coming, and like you said, it's awareness, and the beauty of social media these days, everyone's on it. So it's sort of like, again, channeling in, tuning in to whatever frequency you're at and where it is that you want to go, that you're going to find people like yourself that are really going to be able to take you on that next adventure, which is super exciting that we have the power of that today.
Oh, definitely. Sorry, I'm just going to butt in there because I was having a conversation with someone on a call this morning, and I was saying to him, he was saying what he can do on social media to stop like getting in rabbit holes and whatnot, and I was like, man, you got to fix your algorithm. You got to go through, because life is an algorithm.
Yeah.
We're literally living in an algorithm right now. Me and you met through an algorithm. Like
Yes.
that's how we met energetically through the work that we do.
Yeah.
So I think, cutting out the fear, cutting out the ego, because if you're bringing that towards yourself, there's going to be more of that. But on the other side, if you're putting yourself around communities, if you're putting around men raising the bar or, workshops or whatever it may be, fitness, health, whatever, that's what you're going to bring more of.
Yeah.
Because if you only have to look around and see what your social media algorithm's like, and then look at the world and what you're attracting, it's the same thing.
And it simply is changing your language too. It's like how you articulate things or how you speak about, things. It's like that's what comes up and shows up in your life. So yeah, I love that. That's awesome. What legacy do you hope to leave through the work that you're doing?
I literally just want to give my parents the world. I want to repay them. Oh shit, that hurts. I want to repay them, and I just want to be able to have a really good relationship with my son when he comes along, or daughter, and just have a great relationship. Yeah, my whole life I just want to dedicate to impact. Whatever I leave behind is left behind, but hopefully it's big.
Yeah, no doubt. I can feel it already, which is really awesome. What keeps you motivated to continue to show up for men every day?
I don't need motivation. I honestly don't. Like, it sounds cliche, but I wake up every day and I just do it. I don't know, there's something in my soul that burned for so long. It was like a fucking inferno in me, and I didn't know what it was until I started moving closer towards it, and now I do. And it's just enough.
You can tell, you can see the emotion that's like coming through for you right now, and like you said, it's just like, it's not even a motivation, it's just like this soul purpose that's been dropped in, and this, you just know, it's a knowing that that's what you're here to show up for, and it's fucking powerful. It's so cool.
Definitely. I think about it, I'm like, I could get blowflies for a month, but I know that it's going to turn. I know that I'm going to be, talking about this on a huge level.
Absolutely.
It's in me. And sometimes it's like, fuck, I'm not moving as fast as I want or whatever, but it's like, just let it flow.
And it'll be good because you'll remember this conversation that we had in years to come and just be like, this is the first, official interview that we had in regards to, why it is that you do what you do, and, being able to reflect on that is actually really amazing. So talking about reflections, personal reflections, what's one life lesson, life has taught you that you'll never forget?
To forgive yourself. I think if you don't forgive yourself and you don't take you can forgive yourself, but if you don't take the lessons and the gratitude for what things taught you in life, then you'll never get to the next level of what it's trying to teach you. I think based on being completely grateful for every single thing that's happened in my life, I've taken the lessons and I've been able to use them as my personal power. So
Boom, mic drop.
I think
let that one land.
Yeah, I think the other thing would be not living in the present, not living in the past or the future, and sort of just being present.
Being present.
And then letting it unfold. Because if you're in the past, then it's going to create a lot of anxiety and doubt and stress and fear. And if you're in the future, it's probably going to create a lot of angst and a lot of depression and stuff like that. But I think just controlling what you can right now, not letting the external factors, take a hold of you, and just going for it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And what does being a strong man actually mean to you?
Being a strong man, I think it's just being a good leader in the sense of a role model for people around you, younger people, and be in a safe space for people in your environment, whether that's your partner, whether that's your kids, whether that's other people.
Yeah.
And just knowing exactly who you are and what you stand for, what you don't tolerate, and then not going against your word.
Yeah, I love that. That's amazing. What's something people often misunderstand about you?
Oh, fuck. I gave up caring. But I don't know. What's, can you repeat that?
What's something people often misunderstand about you?
I think a lot of like old friends and stuff like that can look at what you're doing as cringe or whatever and see that like they don't see the whole picture of like the hours, the grind, the books, the podcasts, the courses, the fucking tears, the stress,
the devotion.
The skills that you have to build.
Yeah.
Like showing up on camera, believing in yourself, content creation, coaching skills, like influence. Like there's a lot that you have to show up for yourself for, and I don't think people understand that. So I think old environments and stuff don't give you the respect that it probably deserves, but that's okay because that comes from a frequency that you came from. So I think that's one thing. And I guess another thing that people mistaken about me would probably be just my look in general. If someone looks at me and doesn't know who I am or what I do or whatever, they might think I'm a completely different person.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. And there's that stigma, I think, that a lot of people probably have, like, if there's tattoos or if it's like linked into this certain type of person, and then it's not until, it's like that old saying goes, don't judge a book by its cover. It's just like, you open that book and read the first chapter and sort of see how that lands. And
Definitely. And another thing just popped up is probably just like people think maybe I'm a little bit arrogant at first glance or whatever, but it's something that I learnt just through protecting my energy until I understand people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and you're always going to have your protective parts and how they show up. So it's great that you actually have that ability to acknowledge that for yourself and know that could be something that is present for you in your connections. If you could sit down with a younger version of yourself, what advice would you give him?
It's going to be okay.
Yes.
Everything's good, brother.
You're
gonna learn some things. You're gonna have times that are tough. You're gonna have things happen to you where you feel like giving up, but just trust it.
Wow. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. What's one message you'd love every man to listening to hear today?
I think just wherever you are right now, it's not definite. Like the whole world that we live in is based on evolution. So when did it ever become, such a thing that we don't evolve, that we just stay exactly where we are?
Yeah.
I think when you can get out of your own way, amazing things happen. But I feel like we're our own worst enemy in a lot of senses. We find ourselves stuck in our own heads and worrying about who we are or what we're capable of, but we're more than happy to clap for someone else who we don't even fucking know. So just getting out your way. Yeah.
Louder for the ones at the back. Okay, so we've got a few fun fast fire questions for you.
Let's
go. All right, so coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Morning or night?
Morning.
Mountains or beach?
Beach.
One book every man should read?
One book every man should read. Once you're in a spiritual sense, The Untethered Soul.
Untethered Soul. Who's that by?
Michael Singer.
Beautiful. One daily habit you couldn't live without?
Coffee.
What grounds you when life gets challenging?
The beach.
Yeah. One word your family would use to describe you?
Loving.
One word your clients would use to describe you?
Postured.
I love that. What's bringing you joy in life right now?
My mission.
Yeah, beautiful. And I've got a closing question for you. So if someone listening today feels like they're carrying the weight of the world, they feel stuck, disconnected, or unsure where to begin, what would you want to say to them directly?
I'd tell them just to reach out. Yeah, if it's me or if it's someone else that you feel aligned with, reach out. You can go on my Instagram at BrandonKiltyCoaching and just send me the word brotherhood or chain reaction. We can start a conversation, see where you're at, and see if what we got is for you. If not, we build a relationship and we keep connected. But yeah, I think just putting yourself in circles of where you want to be before you're actually ready to do it.
Yeah.
You know, jumping before you're ready.
Yeah, I love that. Well, that was such a super powerful conversation. I love the work that you're doing. Like it really is incredible just to see you really step into that space, and you can tell that you're here on a soul mission, and I'm here to cheer you on and be one of your biggest cheerleaders. And so thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you, Shellie.
Yeah.